Hi, I'm Andy David. I'm 39. I've been sailing Sunfish since I was about 10, but took about a 20-year hiatus, and I've been back in the boat for about 5 years.
Okay, Andy, you've been the most consistent in the last 2 or 3 years here, particularly in light air. We've had a lot of light air. I mean, you've really killed all of us in light air. We know we have a lot of current here, and we have some pretty crazy wind shifts. Tell us a little bit of your strategy.
So I rarely actually have a good strategy going into the race. I try to stay right on the starting line, especially with the current. As soon as I finish a race, I get back to kind of the middle of the line, because you never know if the wind's going to die, so you need to be able to get from one side to the other. And I always think of kind of the first quarter of the windward leg being, hey, this is what you really need to care about for the wind. Don't worry about the current, just get to where the first breeze is coming, and then worry about the current later on in the leg in terms of getting to whichever side.
So you put the preference on the wind instead of the current. On the last couple of races today, we had to go hard left to get out of the tide.
Yeah.
So your priority was still on the breeze and not on the tide.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I stayed kind of middle of the line when 2 minutes went off, but in both of the last couple of races, the breeze was kind of left at the gun, which also kept you out of the tide. So, I went basically to win the pin in both races, which I rarely do because, I tried to take the least amount of risk as possible, but I felt like you really needed to get left as soon as you could.
That was a risky move today. Starting at the pin with the tide against you is always risky. Sometimes there's some big pileups and disasters down there. You were able to clear that.
I was, and only because I kind of surveyed the conditions at about 40 seconds, and it didn't look like there was going to be anyone who was going to be too tight down there, and the guys who were there I kind of knew would all play nice with each other, knowing that we all had to play nice and none of us were going to get off the line. But a lot of times I'll come in from port and bail out and just duck everybody to try not to make that risky move.
Would you set up on port above the pin?
That's what I did today.
In that strong tide?
Yep.
That was you out there. I saw somebody doing that.
Yep, because you didn't know if the breeze, at 30 seconds, if the breeze died and I was even with the pin, I was going to get sucked out. So today I was always above the line for the whole sequence until probably the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, that certainly worked. All right, the other thing we found is you're consistently the fastest out here. Your speed is good, and it seems like the lighter it gets, the faster you go relative to the rest of us.
Yeah.
Just give us a few thoughts on that.
I sail with a little bit of heel in the real light stuff, so just to get my helm feeling pretty good. And I don't move around in the boat a lot. And I think another thing is I treat my tacks like they're gold and make sure that I have a really good tack, because if you have bad tack in these light conditions, you're in trouble for a while. And my tacks have gotten much better just in the last year, so I think that makes a big difference, just getting the momentum and just going straight. I've watched like Bill Harris sail well in light stuff, and he just sits there and doesn't move. So I was like, if he can do it, let me try that.
It's true.
And also in the real shifty stuff, as soon as you get a header, don't tack right away, because in most cases in this stuff, it's a velocity header. And you tack and you actually, miss everything that you might gain.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Do you think that most people heel too much in light
air? No. I'd love to say I sail flat, but I can't do it in light air either. It just feels too strange. As soon as I have to sit on the rail, though, I'm flat as can be. Like, I'm talking when you're kneeling in. I try to keep the leeward bottom flat.
Any other quick thoughts on this river?
I think just, one, you're never out of the race. So the first race today, I rounded the last leeward mark, I think third from last, and was way behind everybody, but I just looked up and saw, the leaders were in a dead spot, so I went the other way. So you can get really discouraged out here being deep, but you can always come back, and I rarely take the big risky moves, so I'm really, really deep, but today I was.
That's a good point. To end this, probably the thing that I've noticed you're best at is you're very consistent. You don't make risky moves, and you always hang in there.
Yeah.
That's good.
If you have good boat handling and decent boat speed, why take a risk? I don't win every race. I don't win many races, but I get a lot of seconds and thirds.
That's good, smart sailing. Thanks, Andy. Thanks so much.
All right, sure.